hey guys, let's go over the correct answers for the unit test that we just took. Number 1, it's asking you which of the following does not represent a function of x. And you guys need to remember the vertical line test. So horizontal line is this way, and I know that's not perfect, but a vertical line is like the y-axis, okay? So if you look at each of these graphs and you draw a vertical line, you're trying to figure out which hits only once. Those are the functions. And if the vertical line hits more than once, those are not functions, because that means in our vending machine, we go at one time, we're getting 2 things out, right? And obviously the answer is B. I'm sure most of you got this one correct. You might have been confused a little bit if you were looking at D, but because if you draw a horizontal line, it hits twice, but if you draw a vertical line, it only hits once. So D is a function, C is a function, A is a function, B is the one that's not a function. Okay? All right, let's go. Question number 2, evaluate at f of 4. So the whole function is f of x, right? So if I evaluate at f of 4, instead of f of x, that means I change all my x's to 4's. So I have negative 4 squared plus 3. And you guys have got to remember your order of operations. So I square 4, and I get 16, and then I multiply it by this negative on the outside. So that's actually negative 16 plus 3 is negative 13. Okay, so the answer is D. I got a lot of wrong answers on this. The wrong answers I got were A, because they put the negative there before they squared it, and they got positive 16 plus 3, but the answer is negative 16 plus 3. You cannot forget your order of operations, okay? All right, question number 3. Who's right? Joe said that y is not a function of x. Angela said that y is a function of x. So which one of these people is right? Remember, in our vending machine, for each input, we can only have one output. So if x is 8, and then that's our input, and our output is, I'll just stay green, negative 1, that means I can have no other 8s on x. This is like 8 a.m., and let's say negative 1 are pretzels. That means if there cannot be any other 8 a.m. where I get anything else besides pretzels, right? And as you can see, there's a 7, a 6, a 5, and a 4, so those do not repeat. So this is a function, but you may be saying, Ms. Bingley, what about all of these negative 1s, right? How can there be more? Well, I can go at 8 and get pretzels, and then I can go at 6 and get pretzels, and I can go at 4 and get pretzels. That's okay, all right? That may look like, and if you like kind of graph what that looks like, you can kind of see, let's say my output is negative 1, which is right here, okay? I can have a graph that hits negative 1 3 times. That's fine. Negative 1 here, negative 1 here, negative 1 here. That still passes the vertical line test. All right, you guys, question number 4. Given the functions f of x, so let's see, I'll read it and I'll highlight. F of x is the first one, then g of x is the graph, and these are different functions, and h of x, that's the table, okay? It wants us to find the average rate of change. How about orange? The average rate of change, which you need to know by now means the slope, between 0 and 3. Okay, that's our domain, right? That you should recognize this as a domain. Between 0 and 3 for each one. Okay, so on the board we had the let's see, y2 minus y1, the formula for slope, over x2 minus x1. All right, so let's start with this first one. And I know a lot of you had trouble with this. So I need to know, what is f of x? What's my output when my input is 0? Okay, and that means 0 squared minus 1, which is negative 1. And then what is my output when my input is 3? Those are my two x values. And that's 3 squared minus 1, which is 9 minus 1, which is 8. Okay, so my 2 points on here are 0, negative 1, and 3, and then my output is 8. So now I can put those numbers into my formula. So my y values on top, 8 minus negative 1 over, then my x values, let's see, can I go down a little bit here? Yeah. Over 3 minus 0. So my average rate of change for this first one is 9 over 3. I can also simplify that down to just 3, right? So my average rate of change for f of x between 0 and 3 is just 3. So let's do it for g of x now, right? So this time, if my input is 0, my output is, here I can show you guys, I'll highlight. If my input is 0, my output is 2, right? And if my input is 3, my output is 6, all right? So let's rewrite those as points. This time it's 0, 2, and 3, 6. So I have 6 minus 2 on the numerator, 3 minus 0 on the denominator. 6 minus 2 is 4 over 3. So 4/3, or you can simplify it down to 1 1/3. So my average rate of change between 0 and 3 for g of x is 1 1/3. So f of x has a larger average rate of change between those two numbers. And last, we have h of x. So if my input is 0, my output is 1, and if my input is 3, my output is 7. So let's put that in our equation. 0, 1, and 3, 7. It was a lot easier to get those input and output from the graph and from the table. So 7 minus 1 over 3 minus 0 is 6 over 3. So my average rate of change for g of x is 2. So that's in the middle. That one's just right. So what does the question ask us to do besides that? Okay, blah, 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 determine the average rate of change. Oh, so I've justified using math. I don't have to write which one's largest or smallest. That's pretty obvious. I just wanted to make sure that I could do one for each of those. Okay, let's keep going. Question 5. During a snowstorm, Juanita tracked the amount of snowfall. For the first 3 hours of the storm, the snow fell at a constant rate of 1 inch per hour. The snow stopped for 2 hours and then started again at a constant rate of 1/2 inch per hour for the next 4 hours. On the grid below, draw and label a graph that models the total amount of snowfall over time using the above information. So the relationship between hours and snowfall, and then the amount of snowfall is going to be on this side in inches. And then on the x-axis, that's going to be time in hours. That's the independent variable. Okay, and it says for the first 3 hours, I think, let me read it again. For the first 3 hours, it fell at a constant rate of 1 inch per hour. So my slope is 1 inch per hour. So that for the first 3 hours, 1, 2, 3, it fell at a constant rate of 1 inch per hour. Okay, up 1 over 1, right? Then it says from the snow stopped for 2 hours and then started again at 1/2 inch per hour. So it stopped for 2 hours. So then my snowfall is just going to stay here. It's not going to get any more, right? I think it was just 2 hours. I can't keep going up and down here. Stopped for 2 hours and started again in a constant rate 1/2 per hour for the next 4 hours. So 1/2 an inch per hour for the next 4 hours. So where are we at? We're at 5 hours and I need 4 more. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1/2 an inch every hour. So that means 1/2 an inch per hour. So it's only an inch every 2 hours, right? So it'll be a whole inch, 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, it'll be a whole inch, right? And then 1 hour, 2 hours, it'll be another whole inch. And you can see the slope right there. This slope is up 1 over 1. There's no slope here because it wasn't snowing. And then it's up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2 for those last 4 hours. That's where you get the 1/2 inch, that's your slope, per hour. Okay. I'm going to do number 6 on the next video. So take a look at which ones you got right and which ones you didn't get right, and start the next video if you need to. Thank you.